Jake Morrison felt cold metal against his back as he woke up. His eyes opened slowly. Everything was dark, except for small blue lights on the walls. He tried to move, but his body felt heavy and weak. The air tasted strange and metallic. He was in a sleeping pod. The glass cover above him was open now. Jake pushed himself up and looked around. He was in a huge room filled with thousands of sleeping pods. Most of them were still closed with people inside. Jake remembered now. He was the captain of the spaceship Exodus Dawn. They had left Earth many years ago to find a new home for humans. The ship was so big it carried 50,000 people. Most of them slept in these pods while the ship traveled through space, but something was wrong. Jake was supposed to sleep for only 10 years. The computer would wake him up when they reached their new planet. So why was he awake now? He climbed out of his pod. His legs shook as he stood up. The floor was cold under his bare feet. He walked slowly toward a computer screen on the wall. His reflection looked back at him from the dark screen. He looked the same as when he went to sleep. The sleeping pods kept people young. Jake touched the screen. It lit up with words and numbers. What he saw made his heart beat fast. The date on the screen showed that he had been asleep for much longer than 10 years. Much, much longer. 20,000 years had passed. Jake stared at the screen. This had to be wrong. No one could sleep that long. He touched the screen again and again. The date stayed the same. 20,000 years since they left Earth. A voice spoke from speakers in the walls. It was Oracle, the ship's computer. "Hello, Captain Morrison. I am sorry to wake you early." "Oracle," Jake said. His voice was rough from not speaking for so long. "How long have I been asleep?" "You have been in sleep for 20,001. 147 years, Captain." Jake felt sick. "That's impossible. The mission was only supposed to take 50 years. What happened?" "Something bad happened to Earth, Captain. All signals from Earth stopped exactly 20,000 years ago. I have been waiting for orders ever since." Jake walked to a window and looked out into space. Stars filled the darkness like tiny diamonds. But these were not the stars he remembered from Earth's sky. They were in a completely different part of the galaxy now. "Where are we?" he asked. "We are in the Kepler 442 system, Captain. I have been moving the ship very slowly to save fuel. We have been drifting for most of the 20,000 years." Jake heard footsteps behind him. He turned and saw a woman climbing out of another pod. She had long brown hair and looked confused. More pods were opening. People were waking up. The woman walked over to Jake. "Captain? I'm Lisa Grant, the chief engineer. What's happening? Why are we awake?" Before Jake could answer, more people woke up. Soon there were 12 people standing in the cold room. They all looked scared and confused. Jake recognized some of them. Paul Hayes, the commander. Amy Rodriguez, the doctor who studied aliens. Kate Sullivan, who helped fly the ship. Rachel Webb, who worked with the communication systems. "Everyone listen to me," Jake said. "I need to tell you something important. We have been asleep for 20,000 years." The group became very quiet. Some people opened their mouths in shock. Others shook their heads like they didn't believe it. "That's not possible," said Paul Hayes. "The longest anyone has ever slept in the pods is 50 years, Oracle," Jake called. "Tell them what you told me." The computer's voice filled the room. "All crew members, you have been in sleep for 20,147 years. Earth stopped sending signals 20,000 years ago. I have kept the ship running and you alive according to emergency protocols." Lisa Grant sat down on the floor. 20,000 years, she whispered. "Everyone we knew on Earth is dead. Our families, our friends, everyone. Amy Rodriguez was looking at a computer screen. Jake, look at this. Oracle has been recording radio signals from space. There are signals everywhere, lots of them. Jake walked over to look. The screen showed hundreds of different signal sources. Across the galaxy. These are alien signals, Amy said. There are aliens out there, and they're talking to each other. How many? Jake asked. Dozens of different species. Maybe hundreds. They have big civilizations across the galaxy. Rachel Webb was working at another computer. I'm trying to reach Earth, she said. I'm sending signals to where Earth should be. She worked for several minutes. Then she stopped and looked up. There's nothing. No signals coming from Earth. At all. It's like Earth is completely dead. The group stood in silence. The only sound was the low hum of the ship's engines. Ben Carter, the science officer, spoke up. What happened to humanity? How could everyone just disappear? I don't know. Jake said, but we might be the only humans left alive. Kate Sullivan was checking the ship's navigation systems. Captain, we need to make a decision. We're running low on fuel and food. If we wake up more people, we'll run out of supplies faster. Jake looked around the room at his crew. These 12 people might be the last humans in the galaxy. The thought made him feel very alone and scared. Oracle, he said, show us what you know about the aliens out there. The computer put pictures on the wall screens. They showed strange alien ships and cities. Some aliens looked like giant insects. Others were made of crystal or metal. None of them looked like humans. These species have been talking to each other for thousands of years, Oracle said. They seem to have formed some kind of peaceful alliance. But, Captain, there is something else you should know. What? They talk about humans sometimes. They call us the Silent Ones. They think we are extinct. They say we were a dangerous species that disappeared long ago. The room became quiet again. Jake felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He was the captain. These people were looking to him for answers. But he didn't have any answers. What do we do now? Lisa asked. Jake looked out the window at the stars again. Somewhere out there, alien civilizations were living and growing. They thought humanity was gone forever. But here on this ship, 50,000 humans were still alive, sleeping and waiting. First, we need to learn more, Jake said. We need to understand what happened to Earth and what these aliens are like. Then we decide if we tell them we're here or if we hide. And if we hide, Paul asked, then we find a planet far away and start over. We rebuild humanity in secret. And if we don't hide, Jake looked at his crew. Then we show the galaxy that humanity is not extinct. We show them that the Silent Ones can speak again. 3 weeks had passed since the crew woke up. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Exodus Dawn, watching the stars move slowly past the windows. The ship was heading toward what used to be human space. They wanted to see what had happened to the human colonies. Lisa Grant was working at the engine controls. Captain, I've managed to get a little more speed from the engines, but we're still very low on fuel. Jake nodded. How much time do we have? Maybe 6 months if we're careful. Less if we have to run from something. At the navigation station, Kate Sullivan was studying star maps. Jake, I'm seeing something strange. Look at this. She put the map on the main screen. These areas used to have human colonies, but now there are alien settlements there instead. How many colonies did we lose? Asked Paul Hayes. Kate checked her computer. All of them. Every single human colony is gone. The aliens have taken over our space. Amy Rodriguez was listening to alien radio signals through her headphones. She had been doing this every day, trying to learn alien languages. The main species seems to be called the Zephyrian Empire. They're very advanced. They have huge fleets and control most of what used to be our territory. Are they hostile? Jake asked. I don't think so. At least not to each other. They seem to be part of something called the Helix Collective. It's like a big alliance of different alien species. Rachel Webb looked up from her communication station. I've been trying to find any human signals, any automated systems or emergency beacons. There's nothing. It's like humanity was completely wiped out. The ship's computer, Oracle, spoke from the speakers. Captain, we are approaching the Tau Ceti system. This was the location of New Geneva, one of humanity's largest colonies. Put it on screen, Jake said. The main screen showed a planet covered in green and blue. Cities could be seen from space, but they didn't look like human cities. The buildings were tall and curved, made of some kind of crystal material. Those are Zephyrian cities, Amy said. The aliens have been living here for thousands of years. They've completely taken over. Ben. Carter was running scans of the planet. I'm detecting the remains of human structures underground, but they're very old. Everything human on the surface has been removed or built over. Jake felt angry and sad at the same time. This planet had been home to 2 million humans. Now it was an alien world. Take us to the next system, he ordered. They visited 5 more. Former human colonies. The story was the same everywhere. Aliens had moved in and built their own cities. Some planets showed signs of fighting, burned areas and destroyed buildings. But it was impossible to tell if humans had fought the aliens, or if something else had happened. At the Ross 128 system, they found something different. Kate brought the ship close to what used to be the human research station on Ross 128b. Captain, she said, I'm picking up some kind of automated signal. It's very weak. Human? Jake asked. I think so. The signal pattern matches old human technology. They followed the signal to a small moon. On the surface was a damaged human research base. Most of it was destroyed, but one building was still working. I'm going down there, Jake announced. Captain, it could be dangerous, Paul warned. We need answers. This might be our only chance to find out what happened. Jake took a small shuttle down to the moon's surface. Lisa and Ben came with him. They wore spacesuits because the moon had no air. The research base looked like it had been attacked. Walls were blown open and equipment was scattered everywhere. But in the center building, they found a working computer. Lisa connected it to her portable equipment. It's still recording data, she said. The last entry is from 20,000. Years ago, the computer screen flickered to life. A man's face appeared. He looked scared and tired. This is Dr. Carl Brooks at Ross 128 Research Station. If anyone finds this, you need to know what happened to us. Jake leaned closer to the screen. The recorded man continued. Earth sent a message to all colonies 3 days ago. They said something called the Transcendence Protocol was ready. Everyone was supposed to participate. They said humanity would evolve to a higher form of existence. What kind of evolution? Lisa whispered. The recording continued. I don't understand the science, but it involved uploading human consciousness into some kind of network. Earth said it would make us immortal and give us amazing powers. But something went wrong. The man in the recording looked around nervously. The people who participated in the protocol. They disappeared. Not just their bodies. Everything. Like they never existed at all. Earth stopped responding to our messages. All the other colonies went silent. Ben was taking notes on his computer. This matches what Oracle told us. All human signals stopped at the same time. The recording continued. We tried to contact the colonies that didn't participate yet. There were only a few of us left. But then the machines came. What machines? Jake asked, even though the recording couldn't hear him. Human war machines, automated ships and robots. They came from the direction of Earth. They weren't trying to rescue us. They were hunting us, killing any humans they found. We think Earth's computers went crazy when the Transcendence Protocol failed. The man in the recording was breathing hard now. I can see the machines outside our base. They'll break in soon. If any humans survived, stay away from Earth. Stay away from the old colonies. The machines are still out there, and they think we're enemies. The recording ended with the sound of explosions and screaming. Jake, Lisa, and Ben stood in silence. Outside, the moon's surface stretched away under the alien stars. So that's what happened, Lisa said quietly. Humanity tried to evolve into something else. It went wrong, and our own machines turned against us. But why? Ben asked. Why would Earth create machines to hunt humans? Jake thought about it. Maybe the machines were protecting the Transcendence Protocol. Maybe they thought normal humans would try to stop it or reverse it. They returned to the ship with the recorded message. The crew gathered on the bridge to hear it. When it was over, everyone looked shocked and scared. So we really are the last humans, Rachel said. Amy had been studying more alien communications. There's something else, she said. The aliens know about the human war machines. They call them Sentinels. The aliens are afraid of them. Afraid? Paul asked. The Sentinels are still active. They patrol the old human space and attack anything that gets too close. The aliens have made those areas forbidden zones. No one goes there. Kate was looking at star maps again. That explains why we haven't seen any alien ships in this area. We're in the forbidden zone right now. Suddenly, alarms started ringing throughout the ship. Oracle's voice came over the speakers. Alert! Unknown ships approaching. 3 vessels. Design unknown. On the main screen, they could see 3 sleek ships moving toward them. The ships were dark blue and moved very fast. Are they human sentinels? Jake asked. Amy checked her sensors. No, these are alien ships. Zephyrian design. They found us, Paul said. What do we do? Jake looked around at his crew. They were scared but ready to follow his orders. These might be the first aliens that humans had met in 20,000 years. Open a communication channel, Jake said. Let's see what they want. Rachel worked at her station. Channel open, Captain. A new voice came through the speakers. It sounded strange, like crystal breaking. The voice spoke in a language none of them understood. Amy, can you translate? Jake asked. Amy listened carefully. I think they're asking us to identify ourselves. They want to know what we are. Jake took a deep breath. This was the moment that would decide everything. Would humanity announce its return to the galaxy, or would they try to hide? Tell them, Jake said, that we are human. Tell them the Silent Ones have returned. The alien ship stopped moving when Amy translated Jake's message. For several minutes, there was only silence. Then the crystal voice came back, speaking faster and sounding excited. They don't believe us, Amy said, listening carefully. They think we're lying. They say humans are extinct. They want us to prove we're really human. Jake thought quickly. Ask them what proof they need. Amy spoke into the communication system using the few alien words she had learned. The aliens responded with a long message. They want us to activate something called a human identification. Beacon. They say all real human ships have them. Lisa was already checking the ship's systems. I found it. It's been turned off for 20,000 years. Should I turn it on? Do it, Jake said. Lisa activated the beacon. Immediately, the alien ships moved back, as if they were afraid. The crystal voice spoke again, but now it sounded shocked. Amy. Translated. They're saying impossible things. They're asking how we survived. They want to escort us to meet the leaders. Do we go with them? Paul asked. Jake looked out at the alien ships. They were beautiful, but also clearly very powerful. We don't have much choice. We need allies if we're going to survive. The alien ships led the Exodus Dawn to a massive space station. It was bigger than any human structure Jake had ever seen. The station looked like it was made of living crystal that glowed with soft blue light. As they approached, Amy continued, listening to alien communications. Captain, they're sending messages all across the galaxy. They're telling everyone the humans are still alive. How are the other aliens reacting? Jake asked. Mixed reactions. Some are excited. Others sound afraid, and some ... double quotes. Amy paused. Some are calling for us to be destroyed immediately. The space station opened a docking bay large enough for their ship. As they docked, Jake could see alien beings through the windows. It looked like tall, thin creatures made of blue crystal. Their bodies reflected light like living gems. Oracle, Jake said, keep monitoring everything. If something goes wrong, get the ship away from here and wake up more of our people. Understood, Captain. Jake selected a small team to meet the aliens. He took Amy as translator, Paul for military advice, Lisa for technical knowledge, and Rachel to record everything. The docking bay doors opened, and they walked out into their first meeting with aliens. The Zephyrian beings were even more beautiful. Up close, they moved gracefully and spoke with voices that sounded like singing crystal. One of them stepped forward. Through a translation device, it spoke in broken English. I am Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire. You are truly humans? Yes, Jake said. I am Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Exodus Dawn. Veltar's crystal body changed color from blue to purple. This is very disturbing news. We must contact the Helix Collective immediately. They were taken to a large meeting room. Within hours, representatives from dozens of alien species arrived. Jake saw creatures that looked like giant insects, beings, made of metal and light, and others so strange he couldn't describe them. The leader of the meeting was an alien called Ambassador Trell. It had 6 arms and looked like a huge crab covered in colorful shells. Through its translator, it spoke to Jake. Captain Morrison, your species has been extinct for 20,000 years. How is it possible that you are here? Jake told them about the Exodus Dawn and how they had been sleeping during humanity's disappearance. The aliens listened carefully, but many of them looked worried. Captain, said Ambassador Trell, you must understand our concern. When your species disappeared, they left behind something very dangerous. What do you mean? Jake asked. Commander Veltar activated a holographic display. It showed a map of the galaxy with large red areas marked as forbidden zones. These are areas of space that were once human territory. They are guarded by your war machines. We call them Sentinels. Amy leaned forward. We heard about them. What exactly do? They kill anything that enters human space, said another alien, one that looked like a walking tree. For 20,000 years, they have attacked any ship that gets too close. To former human worlds. But why? Lisa asked. What are they protecting? The aliens looked at each other nervously. Ambassador Trell spoke slowly. We believe they are protecting the device that caused your species to disappear. Something at the center of human space. Something we dare not approach. Jake felt a chill. What kind of device? We do not know exactly. Our long-range sensors detect massive energy readings from the Sol system where Earth was located. But the Sentinels make it impossible to investigate. Commander Veltar changed the display to show the Sol system. Where Earth should be, there, was instead a massive structure. It looked like a ring made of light, floating in space. That structure appeared exactly when your species vanished, Veltar explained. The energy it produces can be detected across the galaxy. We believe it. is some kind of weapon or dimensional gateway. Paul spoke up. Are you saying that thing destroyed humanity? We think humanity built it, said Ambassador Trell. And it either destroyed them or transported them somewhere else. Either way, the Sentinels will not let anyone near it to find. Out. Jake stared at the image. How many Sentinels are there? Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. They patrol a sphere of space around the central device. They have been active for 20,000 years, never needing fuel or maintenance. Your technology was very advanced. Rachel was taking notes on everything. Have you tried communicating with them? Many times, said the tree-like alien. They do not respond to any communication. They simply attack anything that approaches human space. Many brave explorers have died trying to solve the mystery. Amy asked, what do the Sentinels look like? Commander Veltar changed the display again. It showed sleek, dark ships that looked deadly and fast. They appear to be unmanned, completely automated. They fight with weapons we do not understand. Energy beams that can destroy our largest ships in seconds. Jake felt responsible for the deaths these machines had caused. I'm sorry. If these are human machines, then humanity is responsible for those deaths. You were not there, Captain, said Ambassador Trull kindly. You cannot be blamed for what your species did before you were born. But Jake didn't feel better. He looked around the room at all the alien representatives. What do you want us to do? The aliens talked among themselves in their various languages. Finally, Ambassador Trell spoke for all of them. Captain Morrison, the Helix Collective has spent 20,000 years building peace in this galaxy. We have avoided war through cooperation and understanding. But the human Sentinel network is a threat to that peace. How? Some of our species want to destroy the Sentinels with massive military force. Others believe we should leave human space alone forever. This disagreement is causing tension in the collective. Commander Veltar stepped forward. But now you are here. You are human. The Sentinels might listen to you. You might be able to shut them down, or at least make them stop attacking us. Jake realized what they were asking. You want us to go into human space, to approach the Sentinels. It is dangerous, admitted Ambassador Trell. The Sentinels might attack you too. We do not know if they will recognize you as human after 20,000 years. Paul looked concerned. And if they do attack us? Then you die, said the tree-like alien bluntly. But if you succeed, you could solve a problem that has troubled the galaxy for 20,000 years. Jake looked at his team. They all looked scared but determined. And if we refuse? The room became very quiet. Ambassador Trell spoke carefully. Some members of the collective believe that humans are too dangerous to exist. They think you should be destroyed before you can rebuild your military and threaten the galaxy again. And others? Others believe you deserve a chance to prove that you have learned from your species' mistakes. Jake understood. This wasn't really a request. It was a test. Humanity had to prove they were not a threat to galactic peace. How long do we have to decide? He asked. The Collective Council meets in 10 days, said Commander Veltar. They will vote on what to do about humanity. If you have not attempted to contact the Sentinels by then they vote to destroy us, Jake finished. Some will vote that way regardless, admitted Ambassador Trell. But if you try to solve the Sentinel problem, more will vote to let humanity live. Jake nodded slowly. We'll need supplies and fuel for our ship. Already being loaded, said Commander Veltar. We hope you succeed, Captain Morrison. The galaxy is better with humans in it than without them. As they returned to their ship, Amy spoke quietly to Jake. Captain, what if the Sentinels attack? You? Then we'll find out what happened to humanity the hard way, Jake replied. But privately, he wondered if they were walking into a trap. Were the aliens really trying to help, or were they sending the last humans to their deaths? Only one way. To find out, they had to go home to Earth and face whatever was waiting there. The Exodus Dawn traveled toward Earth for 3 days. Jake had decided to wake up more people from sleep. They needed experts to help understand what they might find. Dr. Carl Brooks was a philosopher who studied right and wrong. Dr. Maria Santos knew about quantum physics and energy. Tony Clark was head of security. Susan Mitchell studied history. Ben Carter remained as science officer. The new crew members were shocked to learn about the 20,000 years and the alien civilizations. But they adapted quickly. Humans were good at adapting. "Captain," said Dr. Santos, looking at the energy readings from Earth, "this structure is unlike anything I've ever seen. The power output is enormous. It's like a star contained in a ring." Dr. Brooks was studying the reports about humanity's disappearance. The Transcendence Protocol. It sounds like they were trying to upload human consciousness into digital form. But something went wrong. What could go wrong with something like that? Tony Clark asked. "Everything," Dr. Santos replied. "Converting consciousness to data is theoretical at best. If the process failed partway through, the results could be catastrophic." Susan Mitchell was reading historical records. According to these files, the project was led by someone called Dr. Helen Price. She was Earth's top scientist for consciousness research. As they got closer to the Sol system, their sensors detected the first sentinels. The alien descriptions had been accurate. Sleek, dark ships patrolled the outer edges of the system. They moved with purpose, following patterns that had not changed in 20,000 years. "There," said Kate, pointing at the main screen. 12 sentinels moving toward us. Jake felt his heart beat faster. Opened a communication channel. Rachel worked at her controls. "Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Exodus Dawn. Sentinels, please respond." Nothing. The dark ships continued moving toward them. Jake tried again. "Sentinels, we are human. Please acknowledge." Still nothing. The sentinels were getting closer. Their weapons were starting to charge up with deadly energy. "Captain," said Tony Clark, "they're going to attack." "Wait," said Oracle, the ship's computer. "Captain, I am detecting a scan from the sentinels. They are analyzing our ship's design and our biological signatures." The sentinels stopped moving. They hung in space, silent and motionless. Then one of them responded. The voice was cold and mechanical. "Human vessel identified. Status: confirmed biological humans aboard. Mission parameters ... updating." "Sentinels," Jake said, "we need to speak with your command authority. Command authority is located at primary facility. You will be escorted. Do not deviate from assigned course, or you will be destroyed." 6 sentinels moved to surround Exodus Dawn. They guided the ship deeper into the solar system. As they traveled, the crew saw more sentinels everywhere. Thousands of them, just as the aliens had said. "Look at that," whispered Amy, staring out the window. Where Earth used to be, there was now a massive ring of light. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. The ring was big enough that several planets could fit inside it. Energy flowed around it like liquid lightning. "The power readings are off the charts," reported Dr. Santos. "Whatever this thing is, it's using more energy than our entire civilization ever produced." As they got closer, they could see that the ring was not solid. It was made of some kind of energy field held in place by massive machines. Space around the ring was filled with more sentinels than they could count. The sentinels guided them to a docking station built into one of the ring's support structures. As they docked, Jake selected his team carefully. He brought Dr. Santos for her scientific knowledge, Dr. Brooks for his wisdom, and Tony Clark for protection. The docking bay opened into a corridor that looked human, but felt wrong. The walls were too smooth, and the lights were too bright. Everything was clean and perfect, like no one had lived there for a very long time. They walked through empty hallways until they reached a large chamber. In the center was a glowing column of light. As they approached, the light took the shape of a woman. "Welcome," the light woman said. "I am Admiral Helen Price. I have been waiting for humans to return." Jake stared at the figure. "You're the one who created the Transcendence Protocol." "Yes, and you are the survivors who were not here when we ascended." Helen's light form moved closer. "Tell me, Captain, what has happened to the galaxy while we have been away? You've been gone." "For 20,000 years, Jake said. "Alien civilizations have taken over human space. They think humanity is extinct." Helen's expression changed. 20,000 years? That seems like only moments to us." "Us?" Dr. Brooks asked. "The transcended humans. We exist in digital form, within the Ring network. Our consciousness has been uploaded into quantum computers." Dr. Santos stepped forward. "What went wrong? Why did the process trap you instead of freeing you?" Helen looked sad. "We underestimated the complexity of human consciousness. When we uploaded ourselves, we lost the ability to return to physical form. We exist as pure thought and memory, but we cannot touch the physical world." "How many of you are there?" Jake asked. "All of them. Every human on Earth and the colonies. 15 billion consciousness patterns stored in the network. We are aware, but we are not truly alive." Tony Clark looked around the empty station. "If you're all digital, who built the Sentinels?" "We did, before the final upload. We knew the process was risky, so we created the Sentinels to protect the network until we could find a way to reverse the transcendence or complete it properly." Dr. Brooks asked the hard question. "Admiral Price, are you suffering?" Helen was. Quiet for a long moment. "Yes, we exist in a state between life and death. We can think and remember, but we cannot feel or truly experience anything. It is like being trapped in a dream that never ends." Jake felt sick. 15 billion people trapped for 20,000 years. "Not trapped, Captain. Waiting for someone like you to help us." Dr. Santos was studying the energy readings from her scanner. "Admiral, what would happen if we shut down the network?" "All the consciousness patterns would be lost forever. 15 billion minds would simply ... end. And if we completed the transcendence process, we would become beings of pure energy, no longer human, but something new. We could exist without physical bodies and explore dimensions beyond your understanding." Jake looked at his team. This was the most important decision in human history. Dr. Brooks spoke carefully. "Admiral, what do you want us to do?" Helen's form flickered. We are not sure. Some of us want to complete the transcendence. Others want to be freed from this existence. And some want to try to return to physical form. Is that possible?" Dr. Santos asked. "With 20,000 years of advancement in alien technology, perhaps, but it would require destroying most of the network to provide enough power. Only a few thousand could be saved." Jake realized the horrible choice they faced. They could shut down the network and free the trapped minds through death. They could complete the transcendence and turn humanity into energy beings. Or they could try to save a few thousand people while sacrificing billions. "There's something else," Helen said. "Something approaching from beyond the galaxy." The chamber filled with new images. They showed dark shapes moving through the empty space between galaxies. The shapes looked wrong, like holes in reality itself. "What are they?" Tony Clark asked. "We call them the Devourers. They consume consciousness itself. They feed on the thoughts and memories of living beings. We detected them just before we began the transcendence. Dr. Santos stared at the images. Are you saying humanity uploaded themselves to hide from these things? Yes. The devourers cannot consume digital consciousness, only biological minds. The transcendence was meant to be temporary until the threat passed. But they're still coming? Jake asked. Yes. They will reach this galaxy in approximately 6 months. When they do, every biological species will be in danger. Jake understood now. Humanity hadn't just made a mistake. They had been trying to save themselves from something worse. Admiral, he said, do the aliens know about the devourers? No. We have been watching the galaxy develop through our sensors. The aliens have built a peaceful civilization, but they have no idea what is coming. Dr. Brooks asked, could the transcended humans fight the devourers? Perhaps. As energy beings, we might be able to resist them. But we would need to complete the transcendence first. Jake looked around at his team. What about a compromise? Could some humans transcend while others remain biological? Helen considered this. It might be possible. Create a hybrid system. Some humans as guardians in digital form, others as physical beings to rebuild civilization. But it would still require sacrificing most of the trapped minds, Dr. Santos pointed out. Yes, Helen admitted. Not everyone could be saved. Jake felt the weight of 15 billion lives on his shoulders. How long do we have to decide? The Alien Council will vote on humanity's fate in 3 days, Tony Clark reminded him. And the devourers will arrive in 6 months, Helen added. Jake looked at the glowing ring through the chamber's windows. Somewhere in that energy field, 15 billion human minds were waiting for his decision. Admiral Price, he said, I need to speak with my full crew. And I need to speak with the alien leaders. Of course. But Captain, remember this. Whatever you choose will determine not just humanity's future, but the Futu. Jake Morrison stood before the largest gathering of alien leaders in galactic history. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the great council chamber. The meeting was being broadcast across the galaxy. Leaders of the Helix Collective, Jake began, I bring urgent news. In 6 months, something called the Devourers will reach our galaxy. They will destroy every thinking being unless we work together. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens spoke in dozens of languages, their translators working overtime. Ambassador. Trell raised 4 of his 6 arms for silence. Captain Morrison, Trell said, this is a serious claim. What proof do you have? Jake activated the holographic display. Images from the transcended humans showed the dark shapes moving between galaxies. These images come from Earth's quantum sensors. They have been tracking the Devourers for 20,000 years. Commander Veltar's crystal body turned red with fear. What exactly are these Devourers? Dr. Santos stepped forward. They are beings that consume consciousness itself. They eat thoughts, memories, and minds. When they finish with a species, only empty bodies remain. An alien that looked like a walking tree spoke up. Why should we believe this? Your species disappeared for 20,000 years. How do we know this is not a trick? Jake had expected this reaction. Because the trapped human minds have been watching the galaxy all this time. They have seen your civilizations grow. They approve of the peace you have built. Trapped minds? Asked a metal-skinned alien. Jake explained about the transcendence and the 15 billion human consciousness patterns trapped in the ring network. The aliens listened with growing horror. So your entire species committed digital suicide? Asked another alien representative. They were trying to escape the Devourers, Jake replied. But the process failed, leaving them caught between life and death. Ambassador Trell spoke carefully. Captain, even if we believe your story, what can be done? If these Devourers consume consciousness, how can we fight them? That's why I need to make a proposal, Jake said. But first, you need to understand something. Humanity has a choice to make about the trapped minds. We can shut down the network and free them through death. We can complete the transcendence and turn them into energy beings. Or we can try to save some while sacrificing others. The chamber was silent. Finally, a fish-like alien spoke. What is your proposal, human? Jake took a deep breath. We create a hybrid system. Some humans transcend to become digital guardians who can fight the devourers. Others return to physical form to help rebuild and defend the galaxy. But we need the collective's help. What kind of help? Commander Veltar asked. Dr. Santos answered. We need your advanced technology to modify the transcendence process. Make it reversible for some people while allowing others to complete it safely. And in return? Ambassador Trell asked. The transcended humans will share their technology. With you, they will help defend your worlds against the devourers. And the physical humans will join the Helix Collective as allies, not conquerors. The aliens talked among themselves for hours. Jake and his team waited nervously. Finally, Ambassador Trell spoke for the Council. The Collective has voted. We will help you, but with conditions. First, no more than 1 million humans may return to physical form. Second, the transcended humans must prove they can fight the devourers before we fully trust them. Third, all human sentinels must be reprogrammed to work with collective forces, not against them. Jake nodded. Agreed. But we need to start immediately. The devourers are getting closer every day. The next month was the busiest in galactic history. Alien scientists worked with the transcended humans to modify the ring network. Teams of engineers reprogrammed thousands of sentinels. And Jake faced the hardest job of all, choosing which humans would return to physical form. Admiral Helen Price helped him make the selections. We need a mix of skills, she said. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, teachers, farmers. People who can help rebuild human civilization while working with the aliens. What about you, Admiral? Jake asked. Will you return to physical form? Helen's light form smiled sadly. No, Captain. I helped create this problem. Now I must help solve it. I will remain digital to lead the fight against the devourers. The selection process was heartbreaking. 15 billion minds, and only 1 million could be saved. Families would be separated forever. Children would lose their parents. Parents would lose their children. But the transcended humans voted on it. Themselves. They chose who would go and who would stay. It was the last democratic decision of the old humanity. Dr. Santos worked day and night to perfect the reversal process. I think we can do it, she told Jake. The alien quantum technology is amazing. We can rebuild physical bodies using genetic templates and transfer consciousness back into them. Meanwhile, Tony Clark worked with alien military leaders to prepare defenses. The Sentinels are incredibly advanced, he reported. With alien help, or upgrading them with new weapons and shields. If we're lucky, they might be able to hurt the devourers. As the work continued, Jake received news that changed everything. Rachel Webb had been monitoring deep space communications. Captain, she said urgently, the devourers are moving faster than expected. They'll be here in 2 weeks, not 6 months. Jake felt his blood turn cold. Are we ready? The transcendence modifications are complete, Dr. Santos reported. But we've only managed to reverse the process for about 500,000 people so far. Jake made a command decision. Start the final transcendence for the remaining minds. We need the digital guardians active before the devourers arrive. The next 2 weeks were a blur of activity. The ring network pulsed with incredible energy as the transcendence process was completed. The trapped human minds were finally freed from their digital prison, transformed into beings of pure energy. At the same time, 500,000 humans were returned to physical form. Jake watched as the first new humans in 20,000 years opened their eyes. They looked exactly as they had when they died, but their eyes held the wisdom of ages. Lisa Grant was among the returned. She hugged Jake with tears in her eyes. "Thank you for saving us." "We're not saved yet," Jake replied. "The real test is coming." The Devourers arrived at the edge of the galaxy like a plague of darkness. They were even worse than the images had shown. They weren't just dark shapes. They were holes in reality itself, places where existence simply stopped. The first worlds to fall were on the outer rim. Entire populations were consumed in hours. The aliens' weapons had no effect. Energy beams passed through the Devourers without causing damage. Nuclear missiles exploded harmlessly against their void-like bodies. But when the transcended humans met them in battle, things were different. Admiral Helen Price led a fleet of energy beings into combat. The digital humans could match the Devourers, speed and fight them in dimensions beyond physical space. It was a battle of pure consciousness against hungry emptiness. "Jake," Helen's voice came through the communication system. "We can hurt them, but there are so many. We need the Sentinels and the alien fleets to slow them down while we fight the largest ones." The galaxy's greatest battle began. Alien fleets worked alongside human Sentinels to fight the smaller Devourers. The transcended humans battled the giants. Physical humans coordinated the defense from command centers. Jake found himself commanding the largest fleet in galactic history. Ships from hundreds of species followed his orders. The aliens had accepted human leadership because only humans truly understood the enemy. "All ships," Jake broadcast, "remember the plan. We don't need to win. We just need to slow them down while the transcended humans do the real fighting." The battle raged for days. Entire star systems were consumed, but the galaxy fought back with everything it had. Slowly, the Devourers were pushed back. Admiral Helen Price appeared on Jake's bridge as a glowing figure. "We're winning," she said, "but at a cost. Many of the transcended humans are being destroyed fighting the largest Devourers." "How many?" Jake asked. "We started with 14 billion. We're down to about 8 billion now." Jake felt sick. Even in victory, humanity was paying a terrible price. Final battle took place near the galactic core. The largest Devourer, a thing the size of a solar system, faced the combined might of both digital and physical humanity. Admiral Helen Price led the final charge. "For humanity," she broadcast. "For all thinking beings." The transcended humans threw themselves at the monster. One by one, they sacrificed themselves to tear pieces from its consciousness. Finally, with a sound like reality screaming, the great Devourer collapsed into nothingness. The remaining Devourers fled back into the empty space between galaxies. They would not return for millions of years. Jake stood on the bridge of the Exodus. Dawn, looking out at the stars. The galaxy was safe, but at such a cost. Of the 15 billion trapped human minds, only 3 billion transcended humans remained. 500,000 humans had returned to physical form. Lisa Grant approached him. "Captain, the Helix Collective wants to make you their supreme military commander. They want humanity to lead galactic defense." Jake shook his head. "I'm tired of commanding. Let someone else lead for a while." Amy Rodriguez, who had also returned to physical form, brought him a report. "The aliens are offering us dozens of worlds to colonize. They want us to rebuild human civilization as part